Most homes don't fail because of fire or flood. They fail because cold quietly wins. Pipes burst, walls sweat, mold creeps in, and families are forced out, not by disaster headlines, but by freezing air slipping through unseen cracks. Here's the part nobody tells you. During World War II, millions of civilians faced the same threat, with fewer resources, harsher winters, and almost no fuel. And they solved it with a heating secret so effective, it's still saving homes today. By 1940, heating wasn't just expensive. In many countries, it was rationed, restricted, or simply unavailable. Coal shipments were bombed. Gas was diverted to factories and front lines. Electricity was unreliable, yet homes stayed livable. Not cosy, not luxurious, but standing. And the method they used wasn't about generating more heat. It was about something far smarter, refusing to let heat escape in the first place. This is where things get interesting. Wartime engineers, civil defense planners, and ordinary families all arrived at the same conclusion. Producing heat is hard. Keeping heat is easier. And that realization gave rise to what was quietly called zone heating, though most people didn't know the term. They simply lived it. Instead of heating an entire house, they heated one room, one core space, and they transformed that space into a thermal fortress. One room, one mission. The living room, kitchen, or even a bedroom became the heart of the home. Everything else was sacrificed to the cold. Doors were shut and sealed. Hallways were blocked with blankets. Windows were layered. Families slept, worked, cooked, and gathered in a single heated zone. This wasn't misery. It was strategy, and it worked. Here's where wartime ingenuity really shines. They didn't rely on fancy materials. They used what they had. Heavy curtains were hung not just over windows, but over doorways. Rugs were layered on floors. Furniture was pushed against exterior walls to add mass. Even newspapers were stuffed into cracks and nailed over drafts. Heat doesn't disappear instantly. It leaks, and every layer slowed that leak. Glass was the enemy. Single-pane windows hemorrhaged warmth, so families created air gaps. Plastic sheeting didn't exist yet, but oiled paper, waxed cloth, and even thin wood panels were mounted inside window frames. This trapped a pocket of still air. That air became insulation. The temperature difference was dramatic, sometimes by 10 degrees or more, all without burning a single extra piece of fuel. In many homes, a single stove did everything: cooking, heating, drying clothes, boiling water. Families timed their routines around it. Meals were prepared slowly, allowing heat to linger. Water kettles stayed on the stove to release steam, adding humidity that made rooms feel warmer and prevented wood from drying and cracking. Heat was stretched, reused, recycled. They also used thermal mass. Bricks, stones, even pots of water were placed near heat sources. These absorbed warmth while the stove was burning and released it slowly after the fire died down. The room stayed warmer for hours. This wasn't theory. It was lived experience passed from neighbour to neighbour, mother to daughter, builder to tenant. Fast forward to today. Homes are bigger, energy is pricier, power grids are fragile, and extreme weather is more common. Yet most modern houses are still terrible at holding heat. we rely on constant energy input instead of smart retention. The wartime method flips that thinking. If you can keep one core space warm, you protect pipes, prevent condensation, and maintain livability even during outages. This isn't nostalgia, it's resilience. You don't need to abandon modern heating. You need to supplement it with wartime logic. Identify your home's thermal core. Seal it. Layer it. Reduce airflow. Add mass. Use curtains not for decoration, but for defense. Treat doors and windows like weak points, not afterthoughts. A sealed interior door can reduce heat loss by over 30%. Thick curtains can raise perceived warmth without changing the thermostat. Concentrating activity in one room cuts energy demand instantly. These aren't guesses. They're principles tested under rationing, blackouts, and winters far colder than most of us face today. There's another side to this story that rarely gets mentioned. Morale. Families clustered together. Heat became communal. That shared space mattered. It kept people focused, alert, and emotionally steady during long winters and longer wars. Warmth wasn't just physical, it was psychological armor. This wartime heating secret didn't leave monuments. It didn't come with patents or famous inventors. It spread quietly because it worked quietly. And when modern central heating became widespread, the knowledge faded. Not because it failed, but because it was no longer required. Until now. History doesn't disappear. It waits. The techniques that kept homes alive during World War II were never obsolete. They were simply overshadowed. And today, as energy costs rise and resilience becomes a necessity, that old wisdom feels, well, startlingly modern. Here's the takeaway. You don't need more heat. You need to lose less of it. That was the wartime insight. And honestly, it might be the difference between discomfort and disaster in the years ahead. If you found value in this forgotten piece of history, this is exactly what Before Modern Times exists to uncover. The skills, strategies, and quiet genius that kept people alive long before convenience took over. Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who cares about resilience, history, or, simply keeping their homes standing when things get cold. And stay with us, because the past still has a lot to teach if you know where to look.